control so I don't get this feedback from the mic point of view?
Maybe go out there. Your sound guy needs to help you. You have two microphones. Maybe that's why.
So is this? That's what I'm saying. Where am I getting it?
He's got you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got another minute or two before we start, but we'd be so kind to take our seats. We got a great program today. Speakers are anxious to get up here. Can't hold them back with wild tigers. Folks in the back of the room, you're going to join us? Well, great. Well, welcome and thank you, obviously, for giving time out of your day and joining us here from the NCNC point of view. I'm Sal Faso. I'm the president of the coalition and the founder 17 years ago. And we started with 2 communities, and we're proud to say we got 24 communities now. Represents almost 60,000 people in our coalition. Let me thank Ron Ferris and his team out here. They were very kind enough to work with us to get us this facility today. You are in a facility that would serve all of us, obviously, very well if we ever, God forbid, needed it, to the extent that, obviously, it was built. It is the Emergency Operations Center for Palm Beach Gardens, and all of us in this room are more than likely residents of Palm Beach Gardens, if not taxpayers in Palm Beach Gardens, and soon to be big taxpayers in Palm Beach Gardens. We don't know what's going to happen. But we got Bert Pomeroso here, one of our elected officials from Palm Beach Council. Yeah, I know. I got Dana. There's Dana Middleton. He's the mayor, obviously, of Palm Beach Gardens. Do I see anybody else that's elected? That's what I'm trying to grasp back here. Oh, there's Matthew Lane from the school board. Matthew, stand up there, please. Great. Matthew does a great job for us. Was a delegate from the NCNC some number of years ago. And we had just over the last day or two, people call me, and a few walked in here this afternoon. I'd like anyone running for office to stand up just to be recognized. These people are running. This is TK. He's running for the Palm Beach Port District 5. Anybody else? We had Chanel Toon. No? Okay. Very, very good. We got Amy Eschbaugh here from Ann Gannon's office. I see Ellen Baker from the North Palm Beach County Improvement District is here. I know I recognize most of the elected officials. I'm trying to see. Got to thank our fire department for showing up. I mean, Eric Steen has always been always been very, very helpful. Appreciate you, Steen, what you do for us at our annual meeting with the Pipe and Drum Corps coming through. And we got the Carradino group here with Mel Pollack back here. And he promises me the intersection of Beeline and North Lake Boulevard will be done soon. The question is, how long is soon? My wife and I were driving down the other day on the turnpike, and we saw all this construction on the turnpike. And we said, that's only year 3. How many more years we got to go? Probably at least another 3 or 4, at least, I would suspect, maybe more. But let me see who else we got over here. Marissa Das? No? She was one who called me. I don't see her over here. Okay. Oh, Marcy Tinsley, Palm Beach Garden City Council. Just came in. Great. Okay. And in the back of the room, I see some big guys wearing blue uniforms. I mean, they must be with the Palm Beach Garden Police. I salute you, my friend, for sure. Be safe and be healthy always. We always are proud of you people. We appreciate your service to our community. Yeah, I'm trying to find them. I can put the sun, this light. Oh, there's Steve Stepp, Deputy City Manager. There he is. And Assistant, well, he is the stand-in right now for the Chief of Police, right? Acting Chief of Police, okay? And Joey Ippolito, James Ippolito, Fire Department, is going to be back there. Great. All right, well, look, we got a packed program here this afternoon. One that's got topics on it that are germane to everybody in this room right now. Hurricane planning, okay? Important to all of us, no matter how much time you think you've prepared and how frequently you know all about them and you've been through them before. There's always new news. So David Reyes and his team are going to present to you what hurricane planning means and what Palm Beach Gardens as your municipality can do for you and what you need to do for yourself as well to prepare for it. It's just a one-sided equation. We all have to chip in and do our parts in that respect. What are the 2 things you need most in a hurricane? Transistor radio would be very helpful if you don't have one, because when the electric goes out, you're not going to be having any communications. And what's the other thing? Manual can opener. right, for all your perishables that you have that you got to open up. But I'm serious. Those two items are very helpful to you during the course of these storms. Okay, we have another issue that's prevalent and throughout many of our communities. The low-speed vehicles or golf carts, e-bikes, call them what you want. We have, unfortunately, a group of youngsters that just believe they're invincible, and they just go where they want to go. They don't necessarily adhere to any of the traffic regulations. So we have Officer Marsh going to present that to you in a bit. And then we have the big question in everybody's mind, what are we going to do with that property tax? Now that it may be cut back somewhat, how are we going to make up for it, and what impact is it going to be on the respective communities, the municipalities, and the U.S. citizens? And we have Sherry Brown going to be able to present from the county at least what we know as of now. Any of that can change next week. So I wouldn't necessarily walk out of here thinking, oh, it's only going to be that. It may not be at all even close to it. So we don't even really know. And then there's another project that seems to resurrect itself every couple of years. We got North Lake Boulevard. The county is considering widening it. They need another 120 feet, and they need 4 lanes in each direction. We fought that down 3 years ago, and it's back. When I ask those that are from the county who's sponsoring this, they ask me not to ask them that question. Tells me there's something going on behind the scenes, obviously, which is not good. It should be very transparent. We haven't had any community meetings by anybody representing the county, and we shouldn't be there. So Todd Engel is going to give you a perspective on what that means to all of us along that corridor from just west of the golf course in Avenir, east up to the State Road 7 intersection, okay? Everybody in the right meeting? You're all excited about this meeting? Come on, let's hear it for the cheers. Let's go. See, Ron, we can get a cheer for these people, obviously. Anyhow, well, thank you very much. Look, our first presenting team, Sherry, you're up first. You said you had to get in here and get out, obviously. So we have the county going to give their perspective on what the property tax impact is going to be on the county and perhaps the municipalities as well. You want this microphone?
Good afternoon. I'm Sherry Brown. I'm the Director of the Office of Financial Management and Budget for Palm Beach County. I've been doing this job with the county for over 14 years, and I worked for the City of West Palm Beach for 16 years. Do I just move it from here? Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So I always consider myself the budget dinosaur of Palm Beach County because at this point I'm like, how did I do this for 30 years? You know, so I'm the dinosaur. So I feel like sometimes I've seen it all. So you may have heard if you watch the news or read a newspaper that the state of Florida is proposing a property tax amendment. It will be on a ballot in November, but I wanted to be sure everybody understands what your property taxes are. It's your assessed value, which your assessed value is not market value. It's your a lesser value typically. Less your exemptions of your property times the millage rate is what you pay in property taxes. So that's a little bit. So it's the amount of money you get taxed based on the value of your home, and that's your assessed value. And these taxes fund essential public services. It's from everything from public education, our first responders, our parks, our roads, our community services. I always say local government is what touches us the most. And so that's where that is. And there's also several special districts that are taxing authorities. So what is the millage? A mill is $1 assessed for every $1,000 of taxable values. So a property valued at $250,000 pays $250 per mill. Palm Beach County's millage rate is 4.5, so your county taxes are a little over $1,100 a year. The millage rate is set by your local government bodies. And for the county, it's your county commissioners. For a city, it's your city council or commissioners. The property value is set by the property appraiser. So you've got two different independent groups kind of working together on these things. Your homesteaded property values. So you get a homestead exemption that's currently up to $50,000 a year. We have something in Florida called Save Our Homes. And so what that does is it limits the increase in the value, your assessed value, up to 3%. It's CPI or 3%. Over the last 10 years, I think it's only gone to 3%. 2 or 3 times it's been under that with the CPI. There's many other exemptions, but your homestead exemption is really your largest exemption. Non-homesteaded property doesn't have exemptions. However, it is limited to how much the assessed values can increase annually. So it can only increase 10%. All right, what is the amendment? So the amendment will be on the November ballot. It's a statewide election. The amendment will increase the homestead exemption for the county, the cities, fire rescue, library, and all of our independent districts. School taxes are exempt from this change. They will remain unchanged. The amendment, if passed, would also create a path towards full tax elimination over time for everyone except for the schools. So current law, for anything other than schools, we have a $50,000 homestead exemption. In 2027, it would go to $150,000, and in 2028, it would go to $250,000. So we wanted to give a main change. So if you have an assessed value of $300,000 home, with the current $50,000, your taxable value is $250,000. In 2027, if it passes, it's $150,000, and in 2028, it's $50,000. Your school taxes, again, are exempt from this. So you currently get a $25,000 homestead exemption for school taxes. So the value will remain the same over the next 3 years. So you could see a change in your property taxes just because the value decreases. All right, who gets the biggest benefit? Of course, it's homesteaded property because the amendment only affects homesteaded properties. If you have a homesteaded status by December 31st, you would qualify for the larger exemption if it passes. Currently, it says that if you move to Florida after January 1, you have to be here 5 years to get the full benefit, but we'll see how that plays out in the courts. Of course, it's already being challenged with the ballot language and things. Non-homesteaded properties, the only change for them were today, non-homesteaded properties are for second homes and commercial properties. Currently, it can only increase 10% a year. If this passes, you could only increase 5%. So we'll see less increases in values. Some of the other things that are on the amendment, there's no funding to replace what local services are lost, what the local taxes lose. And so there had been some proposals over the last few months that talked about having like a state trust fund to try to help smaller cities, smaller counties, but that was removed, so that won't be part of this. The assessment growth, as I said earlier, on the non-homesteaded will be capped at 5%, down from 10%, and that does give the state a path to full elimination of homesteaded values. So just for Palm Beach County, none of the cities, we collect about $2.2 billion a year in property taxes. The biggest part of that goes into our general fund. Our general fund is our main area of how we account for our taxes and for our general services. It helps fund our sheriff's department, our parks, our roads, some of those general type services. We have something called a municipal service taxing unit for our fire department, so they have their own funding, and those taxes stay within the fire department only to be used. Same thing with the library. The library is its own district with its own funding, so they have a dedicated source for those. The property appraiser estimates that the full cut to the general fund is about $233 million a year. So that is what we're looking at by the second year if this passes. And it's hard to show. I know that Sal said there's 24 communities, so it's a little difficult to try to show every individual city on a slide. So I wanted to at least show what an unincorporated home would look like, a piece of property. So there's 12 different millage rates on your tax bill. And the county is only responsible for a portion of it. Millage rates for cities range anywhere from 1.8 mils all the way up to 9.9 mils, so someplace in between that. So if a library has their own fire department, they will not pay the fire rescue or the library, the top two line, but you pay for everything else. So you may not know that there's a rate for Children's Services Council, of course, the county debt service and county operating. There's an Everglades Construction Fund, Florida Inland Navigation, which does some of our waterways. The Healthcare District has their own millage rate. Our schools have a local and state funding millage rates, and then, of course, South Florida Water Management is also a taxing district. So, your schools make up about 40% of this tax bill, for an unincorporated area, so it's a big chunk that will not remain, that will not change. So overall for Palm Beach County, what we're proposing in 2027, again, is about $2.2 million in property taxes. The biggest chunk of that, again, is our general fund, which funds all of our general services. And so exactly what does some of those services mean from everyday type things? So, Palm Beach County operates about 110 parks throughout the county, and those are full parks with everything from playground equipments and ball fields to boat ramps and campsites, swimming pools and golf courses. We have 32,000 acres of natural areas throughout Palm Beach County, so all of these things are funded by property taxes. Our Community Services Department, which helps provide services for some of our veterans, our seniors, our unsheltered residents, helps about 48,000 residents a year. Public safety, we always think of police and fire, but public safety is also our 911, our animal care and control. We have consumer affairs and emergency management. The county has an EOC similar to this setup so that we operate out of with hurricanes and other emergencies. Our fire rescue department responded to over 157,000 calls last year. Our economic development department, also funded by property taxes, had worked with small business and things to create over 1,300 new jobs last year and retain over 4,100 jobs here in Palm Beach County. Our facilities departments, we have over 800 county buildings throughout, which is over 14 million square feet, which I always think is like, wow, crazy number. And then, of course, our engineering manages over 3,500 lane miles of roads, over 1,100 miles of sidewalks, 300 bridges, 1,400 signals, and they mow 2,100 acres. And our library, we have 18 locations, and we had over 8.8 million items borrowed by users last year. I have people sometimes say that, does anybody go to the library? And I'm like, a lot of people go to the library. It's a great resource. And, there's tons of computers people go in and use that don't have computers at home and all the other things. And so those are some of the things that your property taxes go for that will be affected by this come November. So I'm going to leave it up to some questions and see if anybody has anything that I can answer.
Anybody got to take the money allowed?
No money out of here. And this is, I'm just speaking for the counties. Each of the cities will be impacted by it too, and they all have their own dollar amounts, and I'm sure they're having their conversations with their board too.
Will selling a homesteaded house, will you still be able to do the portability, or will you have to be under the 5 years?
So the portability at this time, nothing has changed with portability exemption. So it should remain.
That the county has a site that you can actually plug in your property address and see the calculations.
Yeah. So the property appraiser, so there's a Saver Home site that the state did, but our property appraiser here locally in Palm Beach County, if you go to the Palm Beach County property appraiser site, you can look up your home now. It will show you the detail of what taxes you paid, and they are currently working on something to show you what would happen with these changes in the amendments. So they will have that available for your specific home too here locally, and they're working on it now, so I think it'll be ready soon. I don't know. I forgot, I know I had talked to the property appraiser a couple of weeks ago, and they were working on it. So right now is their crunch time. They have to get us our values by July 1. So, I know that's the focus, that we'll be looking for our values this week and things, so. So it will go into effect January of 2027, which will, our fiscal years for local governments is October 1 through September 30th. So it will affect our fiscal year 2028, so it'll be a year out. So you won't see it in this November's property tax bill, but the following year.
If this passes, the county looking at alternative funding?
So that's one of the things that all cities and local governments will look at. They'll look at how to change services, and maybe those services that we do today, we won't be doing in the future. Looking at other revenue sources, if there are some out there, and leaving it up to that. So it'll probably be a combination of everything.
I just have the future exemptions. If you qualified for the current ones, they automatically.
Right. So as long as you're homesteaded today before December 31st, it would continue forward. All right, I try to be quick, and get it right down to the point. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, anybody else want to take their seats? We'll give you a second to scoot over, get a seat. Okay. We are in the Emergency Operations Center for Palm Beach Gardens, something that hopefully we never really have to use to its fullest. I'm sorry, hang on a second. Somebody's whispering in my ear. Oh, okay. David, we're going to alter. He's got to go. Okay, we have a topic which a couple of years ago we were able to work through with the county and have them listen to our objection. However, most recently, that project came back up before the board, and they elected to send it to the planning committee and the county, and the planning committee meeting was on June the 12th, and that passed through 8-3 to go ahead with widening North Lake Boulevard from just west of the Avenir Golf Course to the State Road 7 intersection on North Lake Boulevard. 2 years ago, it was to go all the way to Military Trail, which we stopped. So what we have is Todd Engel, our engineer here from the city of Palm Beach Gardens, going to give you a little rundown, and you got a little help from Joanne as well. So we have the team from the North Lake Boulevard objection team come up. And I'd like to thank Ron Ferris for his leadership, and the council, obviously, Mayor Middleton, with regards to your objection to that project. We have that letter in hand, and eventually when we get closer, now it's been scheduled August 26th to be on the BCC. It was scheduled for sometime in June, but they moved that out a couple of months. And we will prepare ourselves to be there either with many of you in the audience who are residents that live in communities that are going to be affected, and I certainly will be there as well. So with that, I'm going to have Todd Engel come up, and Joanne.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joanne Scria, Assistant Director of Planning and Zoning for the City of Palm Beach Gardens Planning and Zoning Department. And I'm joined by Todd Engel, City Engineer, and we have a brief update for you all on the county's Palm Beach County's proposed comprehensive plan amendment for the North Lake Boulevard western portion TIM amendment. Just kidding. We use that method. Okay, so we became aware of the proposal on May 22nd, and it is exactly the same as what was proposed back in 2021 and 2023, which is to widen the right-of-way of North Lake Boulevard between essentially our city golf course and the future extension of State Road 7. And I have a better illustrative map on the next slide here. So shows some of the surrounding neighborhoods for this stretch right here where the proposed amendment, and that is to widen from the proposed right-of-way width, which is existing 120 feet to 142 feet. So the Palm Beach Gardens City Council previously opposed this amendment via resolution, both in 2021 and 2023. As well, in 2023, Palm Beach Gardens Mayor at the time, Chelsea Reed, issued a letter of objection, as well as Palm Beach Gardens Planning Director and our city engineer, Todd Engel. So just to give a quick summary of some planning issues, Avenir is noted as one of the reasons for the proposed change. However, the widening of North Lake to 8 lanes was not identified as a required improvement in their development order. Widening North Lake to 8 lanes was also not noted as a priority improvement by Palm Beach County in the approved proportionate share agreement for that project. It was not a requirement of Avenir. The existing right-of-way provides enough space for 6 lanes, which is included in the Palm Beach MPO's 2050 Long-Range Transportation Plan. So as far as what our actions are at this point, the City of Palm Beach Gardens provided a notice of intent to object to our intergovernmental planning committee on June 9th, and we also issued our formal objection letter on that same day. As Mr. Faso mentioned, the Palm Beach County Planning Commission did vote to approve the item on their June 12th meeting, vote of 8-3. We did receive word today that City of West Palm Beach is also objecting to the amendment, and they have submitted their letter of objection. And this item is scheduled for Board of County Commissioners transmittal hearing on August 26th. And I should note that the City of Palm Beach Gardens City Council does have an item on the agenda to reaffirm opposition for the August City Council meeting. And with that, I'll turn it over to Todd Engel.
How you doing? Todd Engel, city engineer with Palm Beach Gardens. What we tried to do is take a look at how this would affect all the communities along this corridor that has been affected by the 142-foot right-of-way. So we looked at the area. This red line represents the existing right-of-way. In our best guess, because they have not done a study, they have not told us where they're taking the additional land from, so we just assumed that we took 11 foot from either side. They needed 22 feet, so we went 11 aside. That puts the impact area of the final right-of-way here, and then the ultimate, which they would need to do the construction and then restore it later, would be the purple line. So we went up and down that corridor to see how that would affect all the properties. And you can see in the commercial area here, it takes away parking spaces. And in the natural area, it goes into the natural area, so if they want to preserve that, then they have to push that right-of-way down to impact the commercial as well as Ibis more. So you can see these areas, how that would affect the areas, as well as Ibis' sign. As we keep going west, the entrance, so would they put that turn lane back, the right turn lane in Ibis, or would they just take that right turn lane and not take additional land? Those are kind of the effects we had when we went to the 6 lane as well. So we have Carlton Oaks, the fire station here. Moving a little further south, you have the City of Palm Beach Gardens Sand Hill Crane golf course, and this is a new development here. So what they did when they did the 6 lane is that our golf course had a turn lane. They just took it and never gave us a turn lane back. So that was sort of the effects that we had. So again, these are our best guesses on what can happen. We know Bay Hill Estate will definitely lose their retaining wall. They will definitely lose their sign. And most likely we will lose our sign. So, but again, these are guesses. We're just trying to figure it out. Some of the effects was taking private property, reduction of landscape buffers, taking of signs, utility relocations, bringing the actual utilities closer to properties, effects of the Loxahatchee Slough, power poles moving, noise impacts, reduction of throats, possible loss of turn lanes. So that's the effects that we see within these properties. But I did want to give you an update on where we were with Coconut Boulevard. So this was the extension about 8 months ago, and this is where we are today. We are actually all the way to Beeline, making that connection, and this should be done by January of 2027. Any questions?
Would you go back to that screen, you had all that list of the effect? I'd like to get a picture of that.
It's all going to be on our website. We're videoing the whole entire meeting, and all these slides and everything else will be up on the website. Any other questions for Todd or Joanne?
Just a simple question. Having
objections, justify them, explain to them. It was approved at that time, saying that the objection is valid and serious? Or was it just, okay, here's an objection?
No, once we had more information from the county, yours truly went through all the county commissioners. The vote at the BCC meeting was 6-1. 6 against, 1 for.
That, in 2003.
2003.
Yes.
The same Tim basically is being resurrected at this point in time. Nothing's changed, even the letter from Palm Beach Gardens, and I'm sure West Palm Beach. They didn't have any transparency committee, community meetings. They didn't have any address to any of our objections that we rose. They didn't answer any of those questions. So we will go through, once again, the proper process to get before the BCC and explain to them why our objections are valid, hold, and are justified, and they will vote. August 26th.
How is the public, that's really not involved at all, going to get involved? Or is it just gonna be something that's gonna be proposed? 11 people vote for the entire area.
No, then the planning committee.
Please.
They don't make the decision. They support the recommendation of the staff, okay? It goes before the BCC, and then they make a resolution to accept the staff's recommendation.
So no public hearing? No
Well,
public hearing.
at this point in time, we're opening it up to you all. I mean, you're part of our membership and so forth. We can do more. Again, I will impress upon the BCC, and so will other people in the room, the mayors and so forth from the municipalities. Where's the transparency?
Correct.
Well, you can attend the
There has
planning
been
and
none.
zoning board
There has
meetings.
been none.
They are public meetings.
Right, are we go, as an association,
We had
What can we
representation with
do?
Victor. Victor made a presentation to the planning committee on June the 12th.
Could I make a comment about what this
Stand up
member
and-
said?
Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't attend the meeting, and the
He's
bottom line.
president of Carlton Oaks.
Yeah, I'm the HOA president for Carlton Oaks. I attended that meeting. The bottom line statement of everyone that was on that panel or board are against it. They said, but the only reason they moved it forward is because they needed a conversation about how to handle traffic. There's a couple of people on that said that they will be speaking the 26th against this, even though they're on the board, the LPA board. They will be there speaking against it if they hold true to what they said at the meeting. So this is the only reason they supposedly passed it, was because they said they needed to have a conversation on handling traffic. And this, I think, should be really go back to the comprehensive planning groups, because it wasn't really brought out in all this, bringing the new challenge. No one's thought about the Coconut Boulevard from North Lake to Beeline. That's gonna be 4 lanes, 45 miles an hour, no traffic lights. If I wanna get to PJ Boulevard, our points north, and I'm on North Lake Boulevard for the acreage, I'm going that way. There's no relief, there's nothing about how this action will relieve the pressure off of North Lake. I will stand to be corrected, but my understanding that even if they did 8 lanes in the year 2035, North Lake will be 121% over capacity, even if they did the 8 lanes. So why spend the 36 million total they're projecting now?
Traffic
So-
congestion is clearly an objection, but there's another bigger one than that. Safety.
right,
We've got the police records from Palm Beach Gardens. I'm getting them from West Palm Beach. In a 2-year span, how many accidents have we had on North Lake Boulevard? In that corridor, with injuries,
there's no sense.
89.
Could be years down the road.
89. I mean, we're not producing safe roads. We're addressing other issues. And without getting into the politics of what the situation is, believe me, when I go through the individual county commissioners one at a time, they can't talk together, you can't sunshine violations. We present our case, and we hope they'll understand that, so when they vote on the BCC, we know what they're gonna vote. So we're not done, we're opening it up to Kimona.
Who are the most influential people to address these concerns?
Well,
Is there a
the
list
county
of
commissioners are the
Yeah,
decision makers.
The commissioners.
Yeah, write a letter to them.
I'm saying, who's
Send
gonna
an email.
mobilize this?
Send an email if you wish. You can write it as an individual. I don't want to have a concerted effort that we have one email coming out from 1,500 people.
Correct.
Send an email out to the commissioners. Our commissioners, Maria Marino or Greg Weiss. I've spoken with both of them. I kind of know where they're leaning. They oppose, okay? Now, we got 5 others. And because we had a composition of the BCC change most recently, new commissioners, some of them have not been around. I mean,
There we go.
Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Flores, I mean, they're all new to the equation. Commissioner Sachs has been around a while, Commissioner Woodward. I mean, I've been there and I kind of know where people are leaning. So we've got a lot on our side, but on the other hand, we can't assume anything.
Correct.
Ron, do you want to say anything as Palm Beach Gardens?
You don't want to hear what I have to say.
Please, let's hear it.
We have, we've heard.
The insanity of the whole thing, number of lanes that you go from far out west, you have 2 lanes, you go to 4 lanes, you go to 6 lanes, you go to 8 lanes, you come back down to 4 lanes. It creates bottlenecks all the way down. It creates opportunities which have already been described. People in the right turn lanes gunning it from an intersection, try to get in front of traffic already. So its safety is the biggest issue, and this just creates more bottlenecks for that to happen. I'm not an engineer. They do a lot of stuff in math, but they don't do a lot of, sorry, Todd, don't do a lot of stuff as far as people are concerned. They only do math. Math says this will work. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. But the impact that Todd has pointed out on either side of the roads that will be taking property from communities, eliminating turn lanes potentially from communities, adds to the unsafety of the whole idea. So it just doesn't make any logic sense, and it doesn't take people into consideration.
Yeah, and
So
so the
how do they
community
justify
representatives
their
that are
position?
here, I mean,
Well, there's
I beg your
expansion.
pardon?
What justification do they give to say to you
They don't,
that this is the best to do right now?
they don't.
They don't justify.
They don't.
Wow.
but understand, everybody should understand that the amount of development land, this has been an ongoing creep as IBIS. That's why if we go back to the IBIS formation, the original proposal for IBIS was a multiple of houses, and the council was smart enough to say, let's cut it back because of traffic and other things. Well, as you move, further out into the less dense areas, that's where the new development will occur. How are the roads going to support that? So unless the county commissioners turn around and say, we're gonna limit development and we're gonna control this, they're gonna build roads. All right, so this is the time for you, if you feel that way and your communities feel that way, use this content, use the information you're being provided, do your homework, and write a letter to your county commissioner, because they're gonna vote on it.
And I will tell you that in
And
the
they
private
listen.
meetings that I held, they listen, they really do listen. They're not sitting up there just to kind of pass a vote. At least 2 of them said to me, if the residents don't want it, I don't want it.
Right.
That's where we have to mobilize.
Should we be writing to the other commissioners besides our own? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of them, they all vote, they all have an equal vote. There's no weighted voting on the BCC.
No question.
Yeah, Ellen?
So I go opposite, I go east when I go west to work and everybody else is coming east from the acreage. What can you do? Because I used to joke about having a double-decker road. Like, it is just lights, nonstop traffic from the whole way. I live in Steeplechase and I work at Seminole Bridge High School. That strip of North Lake in the morning is insane. And if there's an accident, then everybody is not getting to work.
Ironically,
So what's gonna alleviate that? Is State Road 7 going to? I mean, what are the other options?
All right, we had a meeting on January the 12th with every community. And I reached out to the commissioner that has the Indian Trails Improvement District in Loxahatchee and Westlake, I reached out to her. I said, please send representation from those committees to this meeting we're gonna have, which is gonna be a think tank kind of a meeting. All ideas are good, let's explore them, let's see what we can do, blah, 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 blah. So all the committees are represented, except Loxahatchee didn't show up, Indian Trail didn't show up, and neither did Westlake show up. Neither, any of those committees that she had in her domain. Anyhow, so we sat around the table, and we had the county staff, we had the state staff. Mel, you were there, Pollock from Carandino Group. What was the best idea we came up with? Tell the residents to change their habits. Don't go out during the heat of the rush hour at 8 o'clock. That was it. I mean, people are accustomed to doing things over and over again, but that traffic is gonna be there day and night. Now, I traveled this week twice in the morning purposely, because I was at ISIS down there. There's no traffic. Sailed right through. What? Seasonality. Hello, school's out, the northerners are where they should be.
Where should they be?
Where should they be? Yes, ma'am.
Vicki Nolan, Director of the Palm Beach County Legislative Delegation, but I live west of Avenir. And if back in 2003, they said this would alleviate congestion and that's what their justification is now, you're going from 2 lanes to 4 lanes right there before Coconut. Then it goes to 6 lanes. Then you get to where State Road 7 Extension is, and it goes back down to 4 lanes.
2 lanes in each, yep.
How is that going to alleviate congestion? It's gonna make it worse. And I drive that road every single day, and don't take this the wrong way, but for you to say to change your habits, the majority of the people who live out where I live, unincorporated, are working people. And we have to be
understand
the
that. We couldn't come up with, you got an idea?
There
we
is
should
no, and we're just gonna add
We
more
call them
light.
pinch points. I mean, our direct conversation with traffic engineering within the county, finish from Hall to Seminole Traffic. You've had the money, why aren't you doing it?
That's where I live, on Hall.
I know.
So,
So why aren't they doing it? I mean, you can't go from 4 to 6 to 2. It
well,
doesn't work.
They do, and they're doing it now, and it's
Well, it's Ron's
horrible.
point. These are engineers, no offense, Todd, sitting in a room. You know, with pencils and paper. They've never been out to the community areas to look at it physically, to go walking.
So the best way for all of us, not just people who are with the NCNC, but for all of us, and trust me, I will sound the horn out where I live in unincorporated, and, well, I'll get them to write letters, and I'll get it, and you know, I work in that building, and I will be at that commission meeting, and as a resident, and saying, you can't even, it's taken you years to finish Seminole Pratt, and it's still not finished. So, and now they're working on North Lake, they're widening it west of Hall, and that is just, well, first of all, the amount of accidents that have happened at Hall and North Lake since they started is horrendous, so trust me, letter writing and going to the commission meetings work. I work for politicians in pretty much my whole adult life, so, you know, the squeaky wheel will be heard, the squeaky wheel
Well, thank you.
will be heard.
All come, whether you have, you know, facts in your head or just emotion from the viewpoint that you're a resident. Safety is the main concern that we're all worried about. Okay? Now, traffic congestion, you know, we try to manage to that if we can, and I know, where's Mel? Mel, you've done a bazillion things trying to change signalization, timing, and what lane changeovers you're gonna have at that intersection. So there's a lot of physical things that have been done, but it hasn't healed the issue of that traffic in the morning or coming west and late afternoon. And we couldn't come up with anything on January 12th, other than, hey guys, don't go out in the middle of the traffic, it's gonna be there.
It's always there.
I want to add another comment.
We got council member
I just wanted
Kinsley.
to know, thank you, Sarah, and Todd, has the county provided us or anybody with any updated timing on the 6 laning, out west?
They did at the meeting we had, the January 12th meeting. They provided some updates, but I think those times have come and gone. Yeah, so they haven't been completed. They haven't given us the completion date on the main two projects they're working.
If people are gonna be asking for letter writing, I suggest this, that you need to tell the people, to have who's ever doing these comprehensive plans, from Avenir West, no more homes. There should be corporate offices, light business, and larger businesses, so you draw employees from Avenir and the acreage. Have the people go west instead of trying to go east to downtown Palm Beach Gardens. There's a UC Davies in California, has done 15 years of road traffic research nationally. Their basic statement is, more cement doesn't work. It's a mistake. And that you find other ways, and that's why I suggest, build out west where you want the people to go to, instead of make them drive all the way down to downtown Palm Beach Gardens or West Palm Beach to get a job.
Well, the bottom line on it is, irrespective of what approach you take, whether you want to take that one or others, they need to hear from you. You are the voters. You are the taxpayers. They need to hear from you. Get in front of them. Send them letters. Come to the meeting on August 26th. Fill the room. The last time we did that, I had 55 representatives from the NCNC, and I committed a little faux pas, and Commissioner Weiss at the time was objecting to it. I asked everybody who was opposed to it, stand up, and they all stood up, and Greg said, "Oh, you can't do that." I said, "Well, I just did." In any event, let them hear from you. They need to hear from you. One single voice coming saying, "I represent the NCNC." Great, thank you very much. But the hearing from John Doe and Jane Doe resident, that's what they need to hear from. Okay, last question. Any other? Jim, you had one in the back. You were here.
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask Todd what your impression of what the county's real intent is here. So, I mean, because, clearly just doing this one stretch of 8 laning doesn't really have much, impact. But, I mean, would you just view this as the first domino to fall in terms of ultimately getting back to their original plan, which was to get to Military Trail?
We had a meeting with them last week to discuss this process as well. We sent the objection letter. They agreed to have a meeting with us, and their answer was the numbers show it's needed, and that was it. It wasn't a safety issue. It wasn't anything other than the numbers show it's needed, and they're going to go 6 lanes from North Lake to State Road 7, and then 8 lanes till we get to Avenir Drive. That was their only response, is the numbers show.
We made a resolution, or we made a proposal for them to finish from State Road 7 to the B line. Finish the 6 lanes, 3 lanes in each direction. That's been on the table for a long time. And the BCC concurred with it. So what are we waiting for? What is the holdup in the county? What is the delay? It's politics, let's be candid. That's what it turns out to be.
It's always politics.
Okay, anything else?
I just have a quick question. Are they gonna put a light at 140th Panther National where it comes out to North Lake there?
There is planned to be a signal there, but that has to be warranted, and the county's in control of that warrant.
Thank you.
There is a requirement for it to be Coconut Crossing, which is where the Aldi's gonna go. They cannot get a CO until there's a light in place at Aldi, which is probably about 1,500 feet
Right, so there's
west.
gonna be Coconut, the light there, and then there's gonna be a light at Aldi?
Yes,
Is there gonna be one a little bit further west at 140th Panther National?
there is planned to be, but again, that one has to be warranted.
One last recommendation, if you're gonna write to all the commissioners, some are up for reelection, but the South County Commissioners will not have the level of sensitivity to this issue. Cobra, which is a sister organization on it, is the one that impacts them publicly, and their impact on traffic up here, okay, we gotta do it, and the staff is telling them they gotta do it. So unless they hear from you, they're not gonna consider that in their consideration. And, and I saw that, I had the good fortune of sitting on the Planning and Zoning Board with the county for a number of years. And they will listen if the Planning and Zoning Board comes back with concerns. So go to the meeting, express yourself, write letters, and, cogent, don't say you object. Tell them why and what your concerns are, and give them details so they can digest that and then go back to staff and discuss it. And you'll see some action will happen.
Now, this is a great example, in my opinion, of piecemeal planning. Jim's asking the question because he's concerned what's happening east of military. Okay? It's inevitable, something's gonna happen, but that's not the kind of planning I expect from an organization like our county. Okay? And for them not to fulfill what they've already got approved, I made the offer to the PCC that they should finish from State Road 7 to the B line. Oh yeah, everybody said, yes, let's do that. Hello, I don't see a shovel in the ground. Okay, summarization, thanks Todd, appreciate it, thanks Ron and thanks Mayor Dana, there you are, and Joanne, obviously, okay, for your support and your backing. I need to see that West Palm Beach letter, because I sent it to Faye Johnson, I was trying to get her most of the last 2 days, I couldn't get through to her. She's the administrator in West Palm Beach. So, last question, everybody's got a burning question, gotta have it answered on this topic. No, okay, we concur, object, no problem, be there on August 26th, and we'll keep you up to date as we go through it as to what's happening. Okay. Another topic that's been on the agenda for at least the PGA National folks, but it's been around in all the communities that are part of the NCNC and otherwise. And you see them now, and we're all concerned with them. They're the youngsters that are riding the e-bikes and being totally ignoring traffic regulations and stop signs and traffic lights, and many of them are underage and they're driving at night, and they're posing risk and safety issues to pedestrians or senior citizens walking on the sidewalks. I mean, so no better person to come along. She's got experience in having presented at PGA National, but Officer Marsh from Palm Beach Gardens is going to give you what seems to be the direction on helping to control and make these kids safer and help grandma and grandpa out. Tell them, you know, you can do this, you can't do that during the course of the summer vacation or whatever, whenever they're coming down. So Officer Marsh, they're yours.
Appreciate it, thank you. All right, just want to make sure this mic's working because I don't do well holding the other one. So my name's Officer Marsh. I'm with the Palm Beach Gardens Police Department. I've been in law enforcement for approximately 10 years now. I've been with Palm Beach Gardens for 4 years. I've been part of the traffic unit for 2. I am a traffic homicide investigator, a crash investigator, educator. I have a couple of roles within the traffic unit. I'm a car seat installer. I have the Teen Driver at Coalition. I'm also an advocate for DUI victims within crashes, and now e-bike presentations. I am mainly one of the main contacts for this because I do encounter them more than most of our road units. And it's one of those things that I've treated like my own children. When I see these kids on the bikes, I try to educate them as much as possible along with the parents. I know this is a huge concern. We see it on a daily basis. I'm seeing kids, unfortunately, that are constantly going down the roadways. They're not yielding to traffic. They're gonna get themselves hurt or somebody else hurt. So I have a little bit of a presentation. I'm gonna have questions and answers. I know a lot of people are gonna have questions. I'm gonna try to get to everybody as much as possible. So we do have a couple of videos. In reference to bike laws, the e-bikes are required to utilize the roadways the same as like a motor vehicle. When they are on sidewalks, they are required to make sure that they are obeying the same laws with yielding to pedestrians on the sidewalks, making sure that they are paying attention, audible signals, when they are crossing through the crosswalks or coming up to a stop sign, they are required to stop to ensure their safety and motorists or pedestrians around them. One of the biggest things that we see is that bicyclists are not utilizing helmets. They have headphones on, so they're a little distracted. They're on their cell phones. Same like motorists in the vehicles, same thing. They have distractions in the vehicles that are taking their attention away from the roadway, which is a big concern when we have these juveniles that are on the e-bikes and the e-motos traveling down the roadway or on the sidewalks and being reckless or careless about it. When we come across bicyclists, we have to make sure that they are paying attention to the roadway, obeying the same exact laws. When they are utilizing e-bikes, they are either blowing through stop signs, they're blowing through the red lights. Unfortunately, I've encountered a few that don't stop at the red lights and go through the middle of an intersection. It's a big concern. So when we do stop out with them, we try to educate them that they need to be more visible. When they're on the actual roadway and not in a bike path, they have to follow the same exact laws as a motor vehicle. If they're utilizing a bike path, a designated bike path that is unprotected, they need to stay within that bike path and not veer off from it. And if they do, and they have to go end up into the travel lane, to make sure that they're being safe. Motorists, when they're passing these bikes, they're not paying attention to the 3-foot gap between them and the bicyclists, which is causing concern with that. But when we have the juveniles that are going through the lanes, they're crossing the intersections, they're going completely across a 4-lane or even a 6-lane road on Military, it's causing great concerns in reference to safety for not only themselves but others. I'm going to give you guys a heads up. I don't do well for presentations, so I'm trying to do the best I can here. So we do have a few videos of e-bike safety that was created through our city, which we have Miss Washington here on the video. I'm going to play the videos for you. So it just gives a little bit of education that is also going to be presented on, it's already presented on our city website, but I got with NCNC to be able to put it on their website as well to make it a little bit readily accessible to others that may not access ours.
Do you know how to glide through gardens safely? Just remember, high five. Make sure you know your traffic laws. All bikes, e-bikes, and scooters are allowed on the road, bike paths, bike lanes, and sidewalks. Always protect yourself by wearing your helmet and never wear your earbuds while riding. Control your speed and brake early. Make sure you're aware of all vehicles and pedestrians. Don't weave in and out of traffic. And when on a sidewalk, use your belt. Stay visible. Wear bright or reflective clothing and use your lights when riding at night. And that's your high five.
So when it comes to the pathways for a bicycle or e-bikes, the bicyclists are required to make sure that they're paying attention to your off-road bike paths. If there is a designated pedestrian, they're not supposed to be on those designated pedestrian crosswalks, not crosswalks, I apologize. The designated walk paths for pedestrians, they're not required, they're not allowed to be on those pathways. I apologize. A little nervous here. In reference to, you have your different classes of pathways. You have your unprotected, you have your protected, and then you have just the actual lane of travel that these bikes are going in. When we're seeing these e-bikes are allowed on the roadway. They are allowed on the sidewalks, but there's regulations. So within these e-bikes, they do have a max speed and wattage that are on these bikes. Anything that goes over 28 miles an hour is going to be classified as a e-moto, typically, and I'll go a little bit more into that. E-motorcycles are classified like a dirt bike. The wattage on them out of the box is roughly 6,000 watts. Typical speed that they can, maximum speed that they can go up to is about 90 miles an hour. So with the e-bikes compared to an e-motorcycle, which I'll go on to the next slide, as you can see on the actual e-moto, they're going to be fixed pegs. They're going to be very identical to dirt bikes. These are not legal on the roadway. Unfortunately, we're seeing an influx of these. Manufacturers are producing them, not fine print. They tell the buyer, make sure you know what your state laws are and regulations on these because they're treated like a dirt bike. They're meant to be off roadway. Your e-bikes are going to be where it is man-powered. So when you pedal, you generate the power. Once you stop pedaling, it disengages from the actual electric motor. Once you utilize all that power, then at that point in time, you have to start pedaling again to generate that energy. E-motorcycle is going to be a consistent power, so there's no manpower. Unfortunately, we're seeing these where the juveniles are altering them. Either they're adding an additional battery, which is increasing the wattage. They're also trying to put pegs on the bikes that look like regular pedals, like a regular bicycle, to mimic an e-bike. When the classification, when we pull them over, we look at the wattage, we look at the amp on the actual battery, and can classify it as an e-moto. With the e-bikes, they're, again, just like a regular cyclist, they're required to follow the same exact laws as a vehicle. If they're on the roadway, they have to have lights, the lights in the front, the lights in the back. And if they decide to go on a sidewalk, if there's a pedestrian on the sidewalk, then at that point in time, they are required to yield to that pedestrian and move over. And unfortunately, they are not doing it. A lot of juveniles are going and running pedestrians off the sidewalk. They're hitting pedestrians, they're leaving. And unfortunately, we have an incident where somebody's hurt or severely hurt or killed. There have been reports of juveniles being on e-bikes, not just e-motos, running people over, hitting them, and causing severe injury or death, unfortunately. So when it comes to these e-bikes and e-motos, the e-motos, there are classifications for violations. It is required to be a registered motor vehicle. You have to go through the DMV, you have to register, you have to be insured, they have to have a driver's license, a motorcycle endorsement, a DOT helmet. So there's a lot of regulations that fall in place with these e-motorcycles that parents unfortunately are not educated on yet. When information's put out there, a lot of times the kids are telling parents, yep, it's legal, everything's good. Unfortunately, it's not. So when it comes to the e-bikes still fall under the bicycle violations. So if they do violate some law within the traffic violations, it'll be a bicycle violation. The county is working with other cities that are trying to create an ordinance for the e-bike laws to make sure that the e-bikes are following the same regulated laws, making sure that they have an audible sound or a bell to make sure that they are notifying people on the sidewalk, or if when they are crossing a street or entering into a lane, they notify in some form of sound to signal that they're there.
Statutes, there are traffic laws that regulate the use of electric bicycles, or e-bikes, and electric motorcycles, or e-motos. It is important to know the difference between the two. It's really all about maximum speed, so let's break it down. E-bikes have pedals and a small electric motor to assist your pedaling with a maximum speed of 28 miles per hour. These e-bikes are allowed on public roads, bike lanes, and sidewalks. On the other hand, electronic motorcycles are fully motorized vehicles. They do not have pedals and can reach a higher speed, often exceeding 100 miles per hour. Unlike e-bikes, these vehicles are not allowed on public roads, bike lanes, or sidewalks. So whether you already own one of these electric devices or looking to purchase one, be sure to know the laws and regulations that comes with riding e-bikes and e-motos.
So I do have a couple of videos that are short snippets of juveniles actually recording themselves on social media. Unfortunately, I do come across it a lot, especially when I work in schools. Unfortunately, we did have a juvenile male that was killed about 1.5 years ago at the roundabout of Hood and Jog. And unfortunately, parents were unaware that he was recording himself recklessly driving down Hood Road through Alton into Jupiter. So it's very apparent to educate parents that be aware of your kid's social media account. And if you don't think they have one, they 9 times out of 10 they do. And that's where they post everything. So a couple of these are just examples of what we currently see on the roadways. And this is a case that where you have a high volume amount of juveniles that are on the roadway. Accidents happen, but if parents were aware and these juveniles are actually being safe, and the ones that they're currently riding are the e-motorcycles. So they're not even supposed to be on the roadway at all. This is something that I have personally seen, and I did not record this, but I have personally seen down in Miami when traveling through Miami. Unfortunately, this one was up in Georgia, and they are on the highways. which is not permitted. They're not even permitted on regular roadways. Even like e-bikes, they are not permitted on any form of highway. Roadways, yes, but making sure that they obey the same exact laws. The third video is going to be one which I cut the audio out of these, but school bus. This is a fellow student that they're actually getting him to drive on the roadway and pop wheelies. And unfortunately, all it takes is for him to lose control of that and vehicles coming down the roadway and him get hit. So it's a consistent issue that we're currently dealing with all throughout the state and other states, that juveniles have no regard. I'm not gonna say it's just juveniles. I've seen adults do it too, and I've stopped adults on the e-motorcycles, and this is typically the action that we see. And unfortunately, they're coming to a point where they're not stopping for us, because when we do stop out with them or law enforcement had some form of contact with them, they're educated on the repercussions, and then at that point, they don't want to stop for us. This is another example, which we're going to have a little bit of an ad here. This is going to be an example of juveniles riding on a sidewalk, and then a regular bike, not even an e-bike, goes out into the middle of the roadway. So when it comes to something like this, it is something that we do see often. I actually, about a month and a half ago, had 4 juveniles over here by the Burns Recreational Center that were heading northbound out of the rec center from Weiss. They were at the crosswalk. Which I'll stop this video. At that point, I'm sitting there in my patrol vehicle monitoring them. They're on the sidewalk. Then I see one juvenile on an e-motorcycle go into oncoming traffic for the eastbound lanes. As soon as the light turned green, they went through the crosswalk, then went directly into the middle of the intersection, into oncoming traffic, and almost got hit by 2 cars. So I did end up stopping out with those juveniles. 2 of the 4 stopped for me. 2 others took off, and then we were able to get one of them that was on the actual e-motorcycle, but it was a mixture of e-motorcycles and bicycles. So ultimately, when they have these careless actions, we will normally try to give them a warning, but unfortunately, when it comes to carelessness like that and no regard to the roadway, we tow the bike, we give them the citations, we contact a parent picks them up. It's just one of those that the ultimate action is not just to give them a citation, it's to educate them on the actions that they are doing and moving on from being careless on the roadway and learning from their mistakes so they don't get hurt or hurt somebody else. This next video is going to be a prime example of the moving over 3 feet, and if you can't move over safely, you make sure that you slow down for the cyclists on the roadway, because they have the same right-of-way on the roadway as you if there's no bike path. Especially when they are doubled up together. This is actually a camera that is on one of the cyclists. Jesus. And it's one of those things that, yeah, this gentleman, a witness that actually saw the incident occur, he actually followed the vehicle until law enforcement arrived, and he was ultimately charged. So something like this is that when you see a cyclist on the roadway, make sure either slow down if it's not safe to pass them, or give them that 3 feet gap between you and the cyclist. Same goes for e-bikes, the e-motos. It's just one of those things that until we can educate more and have an ordinance put in place to have a little bit more of a repercussion, it's going to be a little bit harder. But when it comes to your bicyclists on the roadway, we educate, but education can only go so far into the statutes and giving people citations. Sometimes a citation will kind of get people to that point that, hey, I need to be a little bit more mindful, because the thing is that you already have the juveniles that are being careless on the roadway. Now we have to be even more defensive of a driver on the roadway because there's an influx. And we don't want to end up hitting a juvenile that's being careless on the roadway, not paying attention, because that's just not something that we ever want to experience. So this is just a little bit of a brief of pedestrians and cyclists utilizing crosswalks, making sure that they utilize them properly. If they're at an intersection, they're required to make sure that they hit those buttons. A lot of times they don't, and they just go through and think that traffic's gonna stop for them. It's not always the case, because you have distracted drivers, you have the people just trying to get home or going to wherever they're going, and they're in a rush and they don't see them. So utilizing that crosswalk, I tell a lot of cyclists, in all honesty, get off the roadway, go over to the sidewalk, utilize the crosswalk, and then if you decide to continue down the bike path, then continue down the bike path on the roadway, but try to utilize that crosswalk and make sure you hit the button. Hopefully I don't offend anybody here with the videos, because some of them are, yeah, yep. So this is a prime example of not using a crosswalk. Unfortunately, I have worked too many crashes of pedestrians not utilizing a crosswalk when there's a crosswalk maybe 50 feet away from them. So it's definitely one of those things that trying to educate people to make sure that they use them, because not all drivers can see you. This is going to be the end of the slide here. This from the Florida Highway Safety Motor Vehicle, this is from 2023. There was over 40,000 fatalities. 1,100 of them were cyclists. That number has increased. I don't have the actual data just yet, but that number has increased since 2023, unfortunately. All right, questions? Yes?
Thank you, and you did a great job. Yeah, good job. As far as bicyclists, or even the e-bikes, if they're on the road or on the sidewalk, are they, is there a law, I know when we were kids, I feel like there was, do they need to go with the direction of vehicular traffic?
So if they are on the roadway, they are required to go with the flow of traffic. If they are on a sidewalk, then they are allowed to go against the flow of traffic. Yes. It's just, huh?
I feel like you see that as a bigger issue, particularly as a driver, you're trained to kind of look at traffic when you're making a right off the side.
Okay, thank you.
And a lot of times, those bikes are coming right at you, and you might not even really be paying attention.
Yeah, so any cyclist that's on the roadway is required to go with the flow of traffic. If you have a pedestrian walking on the roadway, they are required to actually go against the flow of traffic to make sure that they can see visually of that vehicle coming towards them. If they are on the sidewalk, they are required to, they can go either direction. There's no statute or anything that they can't go against or through the flow of traffic. Any other questions? Yes.
Any age requirements on any of these things?
So in reference to the e-bikes, if it is less than 28 miles an hour, no. They don't need a driver's license, they don't need a learner's permit or anything. In reference to the e-motorcycles, it is a requirement that you do have a driver's license and a motorcycle endorsement, and it's registered on the roadway, just like a vehicle.
There is a state law, by the way, that was passed by the House and Senate and is sitting on the governor's desk to regulate this.
So that's gonna be for class 3, because the class 3, because a lot of the e-bikes are starting to go into class 3 because they can go over 28 miles an hour. Within that bill, it's also mentioned in reference to anything that is a class 2 and a class 3. If they are on a sidewalk, then they are required to go 10 miles an hour on the sidewalk when approaching a pedestrian, and has to be within 50 feet to notify them with an audible sound that they're approaching them.
If and when this gets signed by the governor, these laws apply to inside the gated communities as well as in the public roads?
So with inside the gated communities, for here in Palm Beach Gardens, we have HOA agreements for traffic enforcement, but that is for all traffic enforcement. So it would be the bicyclists, it would be the e-bikes, vehicles, stop signs, speed, all of it. We do have a lot of HOAs that we have agreements with. I go out to a lot of them. I am particularly out in PGA National, and I've been dealing with a lot of the e-bikes on the roadway and e-motos out there. And so if the bill passes, it would pertain to any HOA that has that agreement for us to go out there and enforce the law.
I don't think we have one with you, but yes, we should talk.
Yes. Any other questions?
you, officer.
Okay, thank you.
She's bashful. Who's controlling the mic over there? It's on? She was bashful in front of you, but she gave me that ticket and she wasn't bashful. Anyhow, very informative, and thank you, obviously, for your service. And I know at times you're not 100% sure whether it's safe to even stop these kids because we don't know what they're up to. So stay safe, first and foremost, for yourself and the force in that regard. So thank you. Okay, our last presentation, but certainly not the least from an importance point of view. We are in season. It's June 1st. It goes to November the 15th approximately in terms of hurricane season. So David Reyes, who's responsible for this big building over here and the safety in this building, and his team are going to put together here a little presentation for you on hurricane preparedness and what to expect from Palm Beach Gardens and what you should do yourself to obviously protect yourself. So David?
Good afternoon. David Reyes. I'm Community Services Administrator and Director of Emergency Management here in the city. And like everybody mentioned before, you're actually sitting in the Emergency Operations Center. This is really the hub where a lot of all the response happens from this room. So this room gets fully transformed when there's an activation and there's different division staffing. All the different departments are all in this room coordinating emergency response. And we do that for all different events, not just for a hurricane event. So we're going to talk about two topics today. And with me is going to be a team. I have Corey Wilder. He's our Deputy Community Services Administrator, our Deputy City Manager, and also Acting Police Chief, Stephen Stepp, and a Deputy Fire Chief, James Ippolito. So we're going to talk together. The first part of the presentation, I want to talk to you about what we are doing as a city to make sure that you are safe and we are responding to you immediately after an event. The second part is what do you need to do in order to prepare yourself? Like Sal mentioned earlier, it takes a team. It's a two-way deal, so we both work together to make sure the response is. I'm going to start talking about the city's process, which is a unique process. I talked to a lot of other cities, a lot of other emergency response, and I have yet to see this model that we use here in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. It's been proven to really work. So what we've done in the city is we divided the city into 6 different zones. Each of those zones is where we have our fire stations located. So if you see in this map right here, you see each of those is a fire station. In addition to all the zones, we also have our operations centers, a Category 5 building. In this building, we have additional resources. We keep all the critical equipment, and we have additional staffings ready to add as additional resources. We'll also have our employee family shelter. You may say, well, employee family shelter. Well, it's very important for us that our staff, the first responders, are focused. Immediately after a storm, I want everyone out there to be focused on responding to a residence. Well, it's difficult to do that if you don't know if your family is okay. So what we've done is we develop a shelter so some family members that may not have the houses or they're not ready for it, that they could come and have their family here. They know they're safe, so then they could be focused to respond as long as it takes. And lastly, our Emergency Operations Center, which is this room over here. So our model is very unique. What we've done is each of the fire stations, we have what we call a task force team. These teams are comprised of fire department staff, police department, public works department, all the heavy equipment, chainsaws, everything we need with that, and building inspectors, all at one fire station. So then we duplicate the same model through all the fire stations. What this does for us is allow us to each of those can work independently from each other, or there's no communication even from the EOC. Our goal is to make sure that we could get to you as fast as we can. So we don't want the fire department making a call and said, we need to respond and there's trees on the way, we can't get to it, and they have to sit and wait for public works crews and heavy equipment to get to them. We put those resources with them, they work together, so then they could respond right away. So when you put that, then in our operations center, we have additional resources, those that are resources that can help in addition to it. So if you get a call, then now they can work together. So there's all working together. Public Works goes in front, they could clear the road, and then fire and police have access to all our residents. Our goal immediately after the storm is simply to have access. So we don't try to clear the entire road. We only open up at least 12 foot of access just to make sure that fire and police can respond to any emergency call. After that, then we'll come back and we'll start the long process of cleanup. But initially, that's our goal, safety. So here's a quick video of what that looks like. You see Public Works crews going on front. They move ahead of the fire and police. And as they clear the road, then the rest of the team can follow. So this model would only happen if we lose all communications. At that point, they stay together so we make sure that fire and police can respond to any calls. Now I'm going to have Corey Wilder. He's going to talk a little bit about the resources that we have in Public Works and what kind of resources are here.
Thanks, David. As David mentioned, Corey Wilder, City of Palm Beach Gardens Deputy Community Services Administrator of Operations. Dave touched on the important aspects of our teams being staged throughout the city, but more specifically, sorry, Dave, I think I went the wrong direction. Here we go. Okay. Being more specific with our Public Works team, our objective is to continue to establish and maintain road access for emergency services. So we're going out front of fire and PD to ensure that, was it down? Thank you. We're going out front of fire and PD to ensure that they have access to everybody. So trees are going down. We're bringing our loaders, our backhoes, our skid steers out there to move those debris so they can access all the residents. Any issues with utilities, we're coordinating those issues with utilities to ensure those get back up and running as well. And we're able to accomplish this by establishing 4 areas that we focus on throughout the year. We have our Blue Sky Days, our pre-storm staging, during storm, and post-storm. Our Blue Sky Days are exactly what they imply. They're everything that we can get accomplished pre-hurricane season. So we're meeting with our contractors, we're maintaining and establishing our vendor relations, we're doing our trainings. We've ramped up a lot of trainings over the last couple years, so the vast majority of our team know how to operate loaders, backhoes, skid steers, the chainsaws, all those things. We're also testing all of our redundancies. So we have a lot of redundancies that are built in through our facilities. So we're testing our generators on a regular basis. We're going through our emergency management bins, our pumps, all those things to make sure they're operational. And then we move into our pre-storm staging criteria where we know the storm is coming, and now we're going to stage equipment and all those teams inside the fire stations and operations center. We also have teams that go out and identify problematic areas. They know the city well. Stormwater is obviously very important, so they monitor the system all throughout the year, but even more closely as we approach a storm. We continue to maintain radio communication. We have our radios that we communicate on so that should we lose our phones, anything like that, we can keep moving. During storms, we continue to respond, so we'll move debris as long as fire says it's safe to move debris. So we're still being dispatched on a regular basis as that storm's hitting. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, post-storm, again, our objective is to establish and maintain roadway access for all emergency vehicles. So we have loaders pre-staged at every fire station. Our teams are moving that debris and allowing fire and PD to get moving. And similarly, from that's all operationally. This is logistically. So, logistics perspective is that they have to keep all this equipment operational. So it can be anything from a tire on a loader to something going wrong with a rescue. Logistics is fixing issues on a regular basis. They're staging teams preemptively. They're also setting the stage beforehand to ensure they have all the necessary supplies. So they've got extra fuel, they've got plugs for tires, anything you can think of, they're ready to go to do those things. And again, they operate in a very similar capacity where they have their blue sky days, pre-storm, during storm, and post-storm. And then lastly, our rapid assessment strike team. David mentioned briefly about our building inspectors. So our building inspectors will be pre-stationed inside our fire stations as well and respond accordingly to assist with fire and PD on a search and rescue basis to evaluate infrastructure, whatever's needed. But the important thing here is that our teams are ready to go. They're pre-trained. Once we dispatch them, they just operate. And so from an operational, logistical, or rapid assessment team, these teams are just deployed and go to work. And with that, I will bring up Chief Steve Stepp and Deputy City Manager. So if you want to go down or use that.
Good afternoon, everyone. First thing I want to talk about are some additional resources that we have. Just shows a drone that was in use over the new Publix out at Avenir when the tornado struck. And it gave us a good idea of the damage inside and how to respond. We use it as a force multiplier. It's a way to help us with our rapid assessments. As David and Corey said, we send teams out to do the assessments, but we need to know where the worst areas that were hit. So if there were, and there usually are, small tornadoes in a hurricane or just a tornado by itself, by getting these drones airborne, we can rapidly determine where the worst areas are hit citywide and within a particular neighborhood, and that's where we'll send our resources. Additionally, David mentioned that we have other resources in reserve that can go to the hardest hit areas, and we'll know that usually within minutes with the drone. So that will help us tremendously. Another resource that we have, which is somewhat unique, is you heard about preparations pre-hurricane and the assessments and the response that we do post-hurricane. We use what's known as our TK4. We have 2 armored vehicles in the city that are part of our SWAT team. During the hurricane, when winds get over 45 miles an hour, our fire rescue units can't go out. It's too dangerous. The trucks can flip over. Shortly thereafter, the police vehicles aren't allowed to go out. So there's that time when everyone sits dormant waiting for the hurricane to pass. We have a unique way to respond. Our armored vehicles weigh basically, one weighs 20,000 pounds, the other's probably 25,000 pounds. We outfit that with a team of SWAT operators along with 2 SWAT medics. Those are firefighter paramedics that are also trained police officers and have all their medical equipment from stretchers to everything they need to treat someone. We've used it numerous times over the years. We've been able to make rescues out in 100-mile-an-hour plus winds. They can go out in the height of the storm. They have run-flat tires. They can see in the dark. They have 6-wheel drive. They have winches. They have ramming bars to push things out of the way. And they can respond, like I said, in the height of the storm, find a victim, back up right to their front door if we need to. At the same time, they can also be aware of looting that's going on, and because of thermal imagers, they can detect body heat. So where they can't normally see due to the rain and darkness, they can go into an area that they think they're going to break out the windows and steal items. And we've caught a few actually doing that. And we could go right up and imagine a SWAT team pulling up in the darkness and jumping out and grabbing the bad guys, loading them into the armored vehicle and bringing them back to the station. Whatever we need to do. I can't reveal all the techniques, but it works. No, they do a really, really good job on it. But mostly we've used it for medical evacuations. Heart attacks, I think, have been the main. With that, I'll introduce Chief Ippolito, and he can move on with the presentation.
So for the fire department, it's kind of business as usual, right? Just like a tornado could spawn from an everyday thunderstorm here during the summertime, fire department's fully prepared and equipped to handle those emergencies. We do have the luxury, of course, with with a hurricane or a tropical storm that we have some advance notice. So in addition to all of the additional equipment, stocking up with more blood, diesel fuel, all the type of things that we would need to make sure we can sustain our response, we also add additional apparatus to our fleet. So we'll bring in additional staffing. So we'll bring in more fire engines, more ambulances in anticipation of more call volume. In addition to that, we also coordinate with our partners, both at Palm Beach County Fire Rescue and West Palm Beach Fire Rescue. In addition to the county EOC, we're fortunate enough to have one of our command officers that sits at the county EOC as a direct liaison for the city to make sure that information is passing directly to an individual, to an actual person that works for us versus just trying to call over there through a 7-digit phone line. We also have some specialty equipment that we will bring out during those times. You can see here we have a variety of boats and also some high water vehicles as well. So the boats, not only for emergency response where we can go and rescue people in flooded neighborhoods, but we've also used them in some interesting areas. Back in Hurricane Francis, early 2000s, the PJ National was flooded and people couldn't get in and out. Well, that was a challenge for the hospitals where the physicians that needed to get to work, they had no way. So we were able to partner with our hospital partners, get the boats out there, float the doctors over to PGA Boulevard where we had an ambulance waiting, ready to take them with lights and sirens over to the hospital to get them serving. So kind of a unique way to use those as well. We also have some specialty teams as well. So there are a variety of we call technical rescue teams that are spread throughout Palm Beach County. About 2 years ago, we were fortunate enough through our city manager and our council to support us developing our own technical rescue team to make sure we have those resources local here in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. So they are kind of firefighters on steroids, probably not the exact word, but best word. But in addition to their normal firefighting training, they have specialty training. So these are the firefighters you see when like a window washer is stuck on a high rise. They're the ones that are jumping off the roof to rescue them. They also have specialty training when it comes to trench rescue. Should somebody be stuck in a trench that's been dug out and that collapse, or a building collapse as well. So particularly when you talk about the tornadoes and the hurricanes, God forbid there should be a catastrophic collapse of a building or a house. These are the firefighters that go in there, specially trained to tunnel in and to rescue firefighters out. The name of the game for the fire department in the city in general is redundancy. We have redundancies upon redundancies for everything. You talk about here our emergency operations center with our dispatch center in the back. Should the power go off, it immediately goes to a set of batteries. When the battery, in that transition, it goes to the first generator. If that generator fails, there's a second generator. If both of those generators should fail, then there's a fleet of 3 or 4 generators that can be brought in. So it's just redundancy upon redundancy. So at the end of the day, we are prepared for 2 things. One, to make sure that we have the ability to respond at all times during and after the storm. And then immediately after the emergency is mitigated, we want to make sure that we're able to assist in the recovery efforts to bring everybody's life back to as much normalcy as possible as soon as possible. Thank you.
And just to put it into perspective, on a full activation, we would have here in this city close to 300 employees working during the storm, ready to respond. So all of this equates to approximately 300 employees between all the fire station people in this building and throughout the city. So our goal, again, is to make sure that our residents receive the best and we are keeping you safe. So here's two quick examples of what the preparation means. And again, we do more than just hurricanes. You know, our goal, we practice for everything. We have done drills about building collapse. We've done drills about active shooter situations. We just finished a couple weeks ago 4 days of a drill for a tornado event. How quick can we respond and how quick do we put all the resources together? This one was 2023. This is the path of the tornado, started over in A1A and dissipated over by just north of PGA and US 1. And here's the timeline. Touchdown 5:10 p.m., dissipation 5:21. The emergency response was established. That means that we had a partial EOC activation at 5:30 in the afternoon. All of our teams were out. By 11 p.m. that night, the mission was completed. And that included the only public works agency for this particular event was City of Palm Beach Gardens. There was fire, Palm Beach Gardens Fire, Palm Beach County Fire, North Palm Fire, but the only public works agency was Palm Beach Gardens, so we actually had to go into county and North Palm to clear roads so Palm Beach Fire Rescue was able to get into those residents because they didn't have the resources. So Gardens was able to help even outside the city. Next one is the most recent, 2024. Path of the tornado here. Here's the timeline. For this one was a little quicker because we had already established an EOC activation because that was during Hurricane Michael. So we already had a team, and EOC was open at 5 p.m. Touchdown 5:05, 5:12 dissipation. The emergency response started at 5:10 because the crew already were monitoring the tornado. So they got out of their station and went right behind it to start getting into the residents before the tornado was already out. And you could see the mission was completed at 9:15 and they went back to the fire station to continue to wait all night because we still had the storm. So now quickly I'm going to move away from what we're doing and now I'm going to talk real quick about what you need to do and things that you could do. Again, be weather ready. Make sure that you have a new notifications app, and at the end I'll give you a QR code that you could sign on to set up your phone for notifications, but it's important. Sign up for your notifications. You need to create your own plan. Only you know your family, you know your needs, so you need to create something that works for you and your house. Have a safe area in the house. A lot of people don't think about this, but you need to have a place in your house that you feel safe. Notice that we had already several tornadoes in this area. It used to be not happening so much, seems to be more normal now. So you need to identify what is a safe area in your house. Practice. We practice all the time, and we do this on a daily basis, and that doesn't mean that we stop practicing. You need to practice. Find out exactly what is the room and make sure that your whole family knows where to go in case of emergency. And then also know your neighbors, and communicate. Find out, if something happened, where would you be? Are you going to be home? And get that information so you know if they need help or not. Documentation is really important. That's the aftermath. We talk about safety, but a lot of people don't realize how important it is to well document your property and have all the information you need, because then you need to work with the insurance and they're going to ask you a lot of information. So that's really important. Here's some resources. I will make the second half of this presentation available to Sal, so you have a copy of this. And this is a QR code. If you take a picture of this QR code, I'll give you a second to do that. This will help you to set up your phone. And basically what's going to allow you to do is set up notifications on your phone so you could receive wherever you are. Basically, it's this information here. This is how you set up your iPhone. It takes a few minutes, so we're not going to go through the exercise. And this is for the Android. You'll have a copy of the presentation so you could follow simple steps. And with that, we'll answer any questions.
How about applause for these people?
out, and James, send on to your team. We appreciate, Corey, everything you guys do very much. Any questions? Anybody's got anything for any of the presenters? No. David? That's it. Great. Well, we're almost done. We went a little over today, probably the first time in a long time, but I thought it was helpful because it was good information and I saw everybody really concentrated on it. So you got two to-dos I'm gonna give you. One, as Victor was talking about, write your commissioners. If you don't like what's going on in the county, on any subject, but in particularly since we focused on the road on North Lake Boulevard, write the letter. Just coming from me or going to visit them, I don't know that it helps, might help, but the fact of the matter is, you know, all of you mean a lot more to me because you obviously are taxpayers, you're residents. And by the way, I'm one of the biggest taxpayers now in Palm Beach Gardens, just moved into Artist Street.
Thank you for that.
So I'm waiting for my bread basket, or my fruit basket.
That's right, something.
All right, so we need letters from all of you to help, obviously, write all the commissioners. It's on their pbc.org website. Every commissioner's got a little space on there, and their telephone numbers and their emails and so forth and what they're looking for. Second thing is I ask you to send me an email. What can we do as the NCNC? We had a board meeting, and we've had meetings time and time and again. We want to provide value to you, information that's helpful, meaningful, appropriate. Is there something that we're missing, something more we can do, something less we need to do? We want to be able to have not just meetings. We want to impart information to you. Our motto is to work with business, government, and community leadership to plan for a better county. We can't do it by ourselves. They can't do it by themselves. We have to work as a team collectively to answer questions as, you know, what are you doing this? Because, you know, when you look at affordability and you look at safety, you know, you may not agree with everybody. I use a line with the commissioners. I may not agree with you, but I'm not a disagreeable person. I'm willing to listen to you if you're willing to listen to me. And you know what? If we listen to each other, we just might find a third way, which is even better. Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting? So move, Victor. Second, David. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.